All right, so I tried to make this video a couple weeks ago and I ended up scrapping it because it came out horrible. So I'm gonna try again. And this is going to be because someone in my last video made a comment that they are struggling with control in their steering. And I'm gonna go over the two things. This plagues new riders and this also plagues intermediate riders. Both of these are things that a lot of people, they develop these habits and they either don't realize it or they don't realize is why it's bad, okay? So what I'm gonna start with, and the reason I brought the Honda out here is because one, you're most likely to be having a standard ergo bike with the higher handlebars. So I've mentioned this many times before on my super sports. It's more important on the super sports, but it's equally important on the standards, right? And that's going to be, you cannot turn with your shoulders, okay? So what the big mistake so many people make is that they are sitting on this bike, right? And their elbows are up and locked, okay? Your elbows are up. You cannot ride a bike with your elbows locked like this and trying to steer with your shoulders, right? It doesn't work, it's impossible. So, and if you can just get on your bike, put up your camera, and then go in a parking lot and make a spin and see where your elbows are in relation to your bars, okay? There's a very good chance if you struggle with your stability, you're gonna see that your shoulders are hiked up, your elbows are out, right? Because this feels like a stronger, more stable position, but you are losing that control. You're losing that fine control. You're also very likely to death grip your bars like this, okay? So for starters, you absolutely have to get in the habit of elbows down, okay? Your elbows cannot be up. Your elbows are going to be down, okay? This is also going to set you up for the longer you ride. If you progress to, let's say, aggressive track riding or aggressive mountain riding or whatever path you decide to go on, your elbows being down is going to be at the absolute minimum of a requirement of you having down to progress and get better. Because, right, with my elbows down, what does this do? This unlocks my shoulders, right? I have full flexibility on my bike versus up here, I'm kind of stuck, right? I have no movement. So I've unlocked my shoulders in this position. I am also in a stronger position, even with the higher handlebars, you know, relative like my super sport, even with the higher handlebars, instead of my elbows being up and trying to turn with my shoulder, which is a big muscle and is not that accurate, okay? I'm coming down, right? And I'm pushing through the tricep, right? You are pushing through the tricep. Every single turn that you make is going to be pushing through your triceps, okay? Now, this is something that is very hard habit to break, if you have been riding like this for so long, even if you're not, even let's say your arms are bent, right? Because everyone says arms bent, but they don't really get to the elbows, the elbows down part, right? Your elbows have to be down and you have to push through the tricep. I don't care as long as you don't have apes on your bike, right? As long as you're not riding around, even like this, really, you're gonna be pushing with your tricep. You're going to be riding with your elbows pointed and tucked in, right? You want to unlock those shoulders, okay? You're unlocking your shoulders. It's very hard to death grip a bike with your arms down. I don't know why, it just is. But you are also gaining the full control of that entire muscle, right? So you can now push easily, right? I can push easily. Versus, right, if I'm sitting here in a parking lot like this, and I'm sitting here like this, my arms are straight. I mean, that takes a good amount of force, right? My pec's going into it. That takes some effort, right? Same thing, right? Elbows up. It takes a good amount of force versus, right? My elbow is tucked down, right? I'm pushing through the tricep. Super easy. Your tricep is so much stronger than you think it is when you put it in an optimal position, right? So you just, whoop, there you go. So that's gonna be number one. You have to get that down. You have to break that habit. You cannot keep riding around with your elbows like this. You are hindering your ability to perform. You are hindering your ability to progress. You are hindering your accuracy in your movements, okay? Now the next big thing, sorry, gotta catch my breath. The next big mistake that a lot of intermediate, let's say new to intermediate riders make, is that they have then delegated, right? Because what they've decided or what they've learned is that it's push, sorry, bike went by. It is push left to turn left, push right to turn right, right? If you pull left, so if I pull this way, I also turn right. So thinking that you've outsmarted the system, thinking that you're smarter than all of those beginner videos that you watched, what you start doing is you are going to either delegate your right hand or your left hand as your steering hand, okay? This is where, in my opinion, a lot of the struggle with going left versus right goes, right? You're always gonna have a side you favor. So like for myself, slow speed maneuvers, left all day. At speed, right all day. Don't know why, that's always how it's been. But neither of them have been a true issue in the sense that a lot of people have just complete mental hangups with one way or the other. I believe that stems because most people are trying to set up the anchor arm. They are trying to set up the steering arm, okay? You can't do that, okay? You're gonna have to break this habit as well. This is why it's an intermediate thing, is once you learn what your thinking is logically, if I make one hand in control of steering, I have more time and focus that I can spend on my throttle, on my brake. I can control that better. That makes me a better rider, right? Because I can focus on this, I can focus on this. It's not how it works in reality. It's just not. You want to get in the habit of push to turn, push to turn, push to turn, push to turn. Now, what I know you may say is, but I've seen the cool videos of people hanging off of their bike and touching the ground. That's not you, okay? That's not you. Completely irrelevant to what we're discussing here. That's not you. Don't think about what that guy's doing for a picture. What he did to get into that position, okay, he is pushing, and I promise you, he is pushing to get to that position. There is no one that I've ever met that is a very experienced rider who is pulling in either way to truly manage their turns, okay? And if you watch this too, right, where if you see, like, let's say Mark Marquis, who gets really far over on his bike, his right hand is so light on that bike. I mean, his throttle hand is so light. There is zero pressure going onto this thing. It's really actually cool to see when you pay attention to how light the opposite hand is with these guys on their bike. So he's coming over, he's getting on his bike, right? And let's say he's going half off, he's coming this way, he's coming down around the bike, okay? So let's say we're coming off of the bike. I am not pulling with this, right? Because if I try and pull with this, all right, we're going steps ahead here. But if I start trying to pull with this hand, I'm raising my elbow again, okay? If I'm trying to hang off of my bike, my elbow stays down too. And this is what I'm talking about. You're setting yourself up for so much easier progression in the future with that elbow down, okay? So your elbow is down, right? Doesn't really look as good on a naked bike, but my elbow is down, okay? And I am still pushing, right? As I come over and off the bike, right? I don't know if I trust the kickstand on this bike that much, to be honest with you. I just don't. Hypothetically, pretend I'm hanging off on my bike right here, right? My elbow is down, this is coming across, it's draping across my tank, so to speak, right? Not really doable with this, but I am pushing with my tricep again over here, okay? Same with if I was coming over here. If let's say we're half off of our bike, right? I'm not pulling to turn, okay? I am throttle hand over here. I am draping this arm, okay? So this elbow is not coming out. It is draped down because that unlocks the shoulder. And then you're coming down here, right? And you're coming and you are pushing like this. This is your turn. You are pushing for every single turn. Even if you are able to hold that line and get the picture of you touching the ground, which looks awesome, they are pushing to get there, okay? So those are two very common mistakes that people make with turning. This is gonna make you, and if you go spend some time in a parking lot, really just elbows down, okay? Of course, don't death grip your bars. You've heard that a million times. You know not to do that. It's very hard to do. With you coming and doing this, it makes it so much harder to death grip your bars, okay? This will be a fix. This will fix your death grip so much quicker than mentally reminding yourself not to death grip all the time. My forearm is in a much stronger position right here, much stronger, okay? So I can grip the piss out of this thing like this. The second my arm comes down and that wrist is bent, right? I lose that strength. That leverage is gone. Even with my throttle, no matter where it is, I don't have that same strength. I am not physically able to just death grip this bike with that elbow down. Versus up here, I could death grip this thing all day. One more thing I'll throw on here, because this is something, you see these videos all the time where, you know, how to not look like a new rider, how to not look like a beginner rider, how to look like an experienced rider, how to not look like a noob, you know, whatever. This is something that's very, very, very easy to point out. And I hate to even say this because I hate those types of videos and comments and stuff. But this is something where if you ever see someone going down the street and there's just this inkling that that's a very experienced rider, that guy knows what he's doing, even if he's just going on a straight line on his Goldwing down the road. The difference is you can see how relaxed he is. You can see how relaxed his arms are. You see zero strain in his body, okay? He's just down. If you see the guy going by on the sport bike that you're like, that guy looks like he got that yesterday, pay attention to it, right? The balls of his feet might be right on the pegs, but something just looks wrong about the way he's riding it. He's too stiff, okay? His body position might be good, but his arms are probably up. That is a huge, huge indicator for the confidence and years of time someone's spent on a bike. And to make you feel better as well, this is something that most people will struggle with forever, okay? Because I catch myself doing this still. If I happen to make a questionable maneuver in traffic, I happen to have a oopsie in some capacity, I'm pushing something a little too hard, my tendency is to start bringing the elbows up and gripping onto my bars, okay? I still catch myself doing this, okay? This is very hard to break. This is a very hard habit to break. And too, you know, when like you're new, right? And everyone watches the police videos where the police guys are doing the gymkhana, the parking lot drills, and they just look so clean with it. They're so smooth. And look at their arms. Pay attention to their elbows. Pay attention to how loose their arms are on those bars. So anyway, I hope this helps. I hope this better simplifies your steering for you, helps you pick out what you've been getting wrong that you just haven't quite been able to figure out, whether it's slow speed around the street, twisty roads, whatever it is. That alone makes such a big difference. Okay, I hope this helps you. I hope that if you're someone who's been using the control arm, let me know. Okay, most people don't realize they're even doing it until someone points it out to them. That was me. Let me know what you think. Let me know if you go and actually try this, or if you go record yourself, how much were you death gripping it? How far up was that elbow? How hyperextended was that shoulder? How did you feel after you brought the arm down and forced yourself to relax that arm? That's it. Thank you.